Hey everyone, it's Sam Ovens here, and today I've got David Thompson on with us. And David's a student of the Consulting Accelerator program. And back when he joined, he was working at his 9 to 5 job, and he was 60 grand in debt and just chewing through training program after training program, trying to figure out how to how to get the rubber to the road and really gain some traction. And he joined Consulting Accelerator, and through that journey and that experience, he's been able to start his own agency where he helps chiropractors get clients with Facebook ads and digital marketing. And he's grown that agency to the point right now where it's making around $60,000 per month. So first of all, congrats on doing that. That's a big move from 60K in debt to 60 grand a month. So first of all, congrats, and let's jump in and really discuss, your story and how this all came to be.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. I look forward to it.
Cool. So why don't we start off with the inception, like the start? Explain to me what was going on back when you were failing and struggling. What was going on back then?
Well, I've always wanted to do something with business, but for whatever reason, I kept pushing it off. I had a pretty decent job. I was working for a pharmaceutical company, so I was making ends meet. The problem was I knew that I needed to do something else because I live in California and it's really expensive out here. And I have a growing family. I just had a baby about a year ago. He turns 1 in a few days. But that was knowing that my wife was pregnant and a lot of things that happened while I was working at the pharmaceutical job, it just kind of put fire under my tail. So here's the thing, like when I was starting out, I just didn't know what niche to pick, right? Even after I bought your course, I didn't do anything for 6 months because I didn't, and I see a lot of people, that happens to a lot of people, because I was just like, what niche do I want to pick? And I kept pushing it off. And like I said, 6 months into the program, my nice job turned into HELL. It was really a hell because my manager changed. And if you work for somebody, if you might have a good manager for a good while, but then once they swap it out into somebody else and you don't connect, and this lady was she micromanaged a lot, and so I was annoyed. At the same time, she pretty much added 20 to 30 hours more work on top of what I was already doing as a pharmaceutical rep. So it just became really tough. And so I just dug deep and I said, I can't keep pushing this off. It's already been 6 months, and I hate buying courses and not taking action. I mean, I bought a few courses before you and I didn't do anything with it because for whatever reason, I thought I could always start tomorrow. Like I was young, I could do whatever, I'll figure it out someday. Right now I'm comfortable. And I think that's where a lot of people are. But long story short, I just decided that I wasn't going to sleep, because I was already working full time. And it was supposed to be an 8 to 5 job, but it really turned into an 8 to 8 job. And then I was working on the weekends as a waiter. And I had to quit something. I had to quit something to make the business work. So I quit the waiter job on the weekend. And I decided just so I can get rest, not so I can work the business, but so I can actually sleep. And you know what I mean? And so Monday through Friday, I would basically work my job and try to fit what I could in, like strategy calls during Monday through Friday. But it was really what happened was at nighttime, after 8, 9 o'clock, after I spoke to the family and the kids were to bed, when I was in hotels and so forth, I would stay up till like 3 in the morning just doing outreach, connecting with as many chiropractors as I could, doing outreach, just very simple conversational outreach. And I connected literally with thousands of chiropractors over 3 months, did about close to 40 sales calls, and got a few free trials, right? Just to do a few free trials. But it didn't happen until around February is when I finally found a free trial with the right client, right? Because sometimes you can do one free trial and you think it's going to happen, but mine didn't happen until about the 4th free trial. Got her killer results, and she referred me to her coach, who was a chiropractic coach for the practice management side. and he basically interviewed me. And it was a good thing because I did those other free trials, so I had something to talk about when he was talking to me about my experience. And then he started sending me referrals. He sent me two at a time, and I got them results. He sent me another two. I got them results. And then from there, he sent me about 50 to 60 referrals over the next 3 months. And then from there, it just blew up. And so, I mean, that's kind of been my journey. But I think one thing I haven't talked about as to why I pushed so hard was because I mean, there's a really big why behind it, but I haven't shared it with anybody. I don't know if I'd share it yet now, but it's something that really pushed me ever since I got married. But that was kind of like my story in a nutshell.
So what is the why?
Well, um, okay, so here's the thing. If it wasn't for the why, I don't know if I would have even ventured into starting a business because I think I'm knowing myself, I'm kind of lazy. I'm kind of lazy by nature. I just want to, be with the family. I don't want to do anything really outside of just, spending time with the family. But my why, it's kind of a long story, but let me do it as fast as I can. In 2001, I bought a Ford Mustang, and I was a co-signer. And when in 2002, I decided to become a missionary, and I left the country for 2 years. But I had this car that I was making payments on. When I came back, I found out that my brother had totaled the car, and my mom decided to stop paying for it. She decided to file bankruptcy, and she said, "You should file bankruptcy. That way they don't come after you." And so I was like, I just came home from a 2-year mission as a missionary, and I was like, I'm not going to start my life by going on bankruptcy. It doesn't make sense. So I just basically ignored what happened, and I let it go. I got married, and then in 2014, let's fast forward. I saw this business stuff, but I never pulled the trigger. I bought stuff, but I was comfortable. In 2014, they caught up to me because I didn't file for bankruptcy, and they started garnishing my wages at my employer. And then that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do something because it was a $17,000 debt that ballooned to 30,000, right? It was a judgment, right? And now they're taking money from my account. So now it's like, what am I going to do? So what I ended up doing, and I did this, and I didn't want to tell my wife. So that was the big thing. I didn't want to tell my wife. I wanted to solve this on my own because she knew about the judgment, but she didn't know that they started garnishing my wages. She thought it would have, after a certain amount of time, it would have dropped, but it didn't, and I didn't want to tell her. So I kind of made a poor choice, and I got a personal loan, paid off a discounted amount, $20,000 for the judgment. Now I had this $20,000 personal loan, okay, that I'm paying for on top of my regular, my rent and the house and all that, the food and stuff. And my wife doesn't know. And here's the thing, my wife was pressuring me every day. We need to buy a house now. We need to buy a house. We're ready, like blah, blah, blah. Because I had a job, supposedly a high paying job, but she didn't know my money was going to paying off this personal loan I did to pay off the judgment, right? So all this really was like part of the reason why I really sat down and thought I needed to create some more income for my life without having to go out there and get another job, right? Because I already had 3 jobs. How was I going to make more money if I'm already doing 3 jobs and I'm barely making ends meet, and now I got this $20,000 loan to pay? So I haven't shared this story with anybody, man. So what I ended up doing was I just started buying courses. That's in 2014. That's when I started buying courses. I needed to learn something. I needed to learn something I can implement. The problem was most people were teaching blogging, right? Podcasting, all this slow stuff. And I didn't know it was slow until I was going through it. And I was like, this is going to take forever for me to make any money from it, right? And so I I subscribed to Ty Lopez. And Ty Lopez was like, he was all over the place, and he was promoting people's stuff, and then I was watching people's webinars and just learning stuff. And then I came across yours in 2016. And when I saw yours, and it was like consulting, and the whole lettuce example where you have the chopped up lettuce and the whole was it cat or the cabbage, right? The whole cabbage and the chopped up cabbage, and that was like got me thinking, oh my gosh, that's how I can do it. I can just chop lettuce in a, quote unquote, right? Like I can actually charge what I need to get now, versus this whole slow process which everybody else is teaching. And so I watched the webinar once. I really loved it. But I didn't take action. I saw it and I was like, I just dwell on it. Is this guy for real? Because I never heard about you before. I mean, that was the first time I heard about Sam Ovens. And so everything you talked about on the webinar really hit at home for me, at least, right? But I still didn't do it. And I said, I'm going to watch it again. And I watched it twice. And then I was just listening to your intonations, like listening to every little detail, finding an excuse to not believe you. You know what I mean? Right? But it's like, this guy seemed, this is for real. I'm going to try it. And I bought it. And, I watched every module at least 6 times, right? I didn't take action. I just watched all the modules at least 6 times while I was working out. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be exciting. But next thing you know, 6 months later, I didn't do anything until the next layer of challenges hit me, which was change of job. Found out my wife's pregnant. My wife wants to buy a house. She doesn't know about the loan I'm still paying. There was a time where there was about 6 months where I was actually paying our rent with credit cards, and that was like $2,000 every month going out to pay this. And I was like, okay. And I was doing it because I know I'm going to be successful in this business. I just got to do something. Long story short, man, I just decided I wasn't going to sleep. And I was working basically my regular job 8 to 8. And then in the evening, I would be from about 10 o'clock till 3 in the morning, just doing outreach. And my motto was keep grinding until I get my first break. And I did get my first break. And that's kind of like the nutshell. But the why was really what kind of got the whole process of looking for a course and trying to do something online. That was my why.
That's a good story. But man, you needed a lot of pain to get you moving.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. Man. That you had the wife, the pregnant wife, the buying the house, the judgment thing, the job changing, the everything, until it was just like it's fascinating to see, because this is common with so many people, me included. It's like people need a pain, or they need a dramatic event, or sometimes even near like a near-death experience to just jolt them into gear. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what happened to me, Sam. I don't know what to say. I mean, I feel terrible. I feel terrible that I can't just will myself to take action, because
you probably can now.
Probably now, yeah. Now it's a lot better because I have momentum. Once you have momentum, it's a lot easier. But in the beginning, I've noticed even with some of my students that I've taken on, like it's hard for them to believe in the process long enough to get the result. And I was lucky enough to stick to it long enough to get my first break. And I always say, go until you get your first break. I mean, and it really is, because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, they either stuck picking their niche, or after they pick their niche, they do a half-assed attempt to make it work. But they don't really want it. It's kind of like my daughter. I say, what do you want to do? And she, okay, you want to be a pianist. She starts playing the piano, and then after a while, when she starts learning the harder songs, like, I don't want to do it anymore. It's too hard. Okay, let's do soccer. Like, oh, you play soccer. Oh, no, that's too hot. And then she wants to change, and I keep changing her. Like, what do you want to do? Make up your mind. And we're kind of the same way.
Yeah, it's like people just like to be. They like to just float and go with the flow. Like, I always remember that's what my mum used to tell me when I was a kid. Like, just go with the flow, Sam. Stop trying to, like, control everything. Stop trying to force your will upon everything. Because that's always what I was trying to do. And it seems like that is definitely the easier way to live, but nothing really comes of it. You know what I mean? It just kind of, you just float around and then time's gone and you're like, oh my God. So you really learned to get to drive.
On top of that, I had my culture working against me because my background is Polynesian. And if you know any Polynesians, they're very laid back,
There's
they hang
tons of
out
them
with
in New
their family.
Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
I went
So
to
you know
school
about
with
them.
them. Yeah, my school was like, yeah, I know them well.
So I'm a Polynesian. My background is Tongan, right? So it's all about faith, family, and food. Nothing else matters. It's all faith, family, and food. That's it. So I have that working against me.
Yeah, I say to people sometimes it's kind of like changing religions, like you imagine if you're in one religion and you're trying to convert to like the opposite one, you know what I mean? It's like that's some serious stuff going on, and business kind of is like that. It's not an actual religion that replaces another religion, but it's kind of the same thing, you know what I mean? It's a set of beliefs, it's rituals, it's ways of doing things, it's communities, it's, you know what I mean?
Yes, yes. I mean, you talk about that in your, I call it your mental toughness training, your mindset training. And I think that was gold. But yeah, I mean, I realized that, if I'm exposed to a specific environment, I'll fall into it. I'll fall into that behavior. I know that I will. It's hard. Like even when I'm trying to lose weight or something, if I'm into it and if I'm in the wrong environment, I'm going to do what I'm not supposed to do. And so like I do my best to get into the best environment. And I'm part of other masterminds now just to kind of make sure I'm talking to the right people and this is happening once, 2-3 times a week. And it's supporting me, helping make sure I stay in momentum and I keep going versus going backwards. Because the worst thing that can happen to me right now is to go backwards, right? To get comfortable at, 40, 50, 60K a month and then start going backwards. The only reason I want to make more is because I don't want to go backwards. I don't really want to make more money, but I know if I just stop, it'll probably start pushing me the other way.
Yeah, we're humans. We have to evolve. That's how we went from like caves to this, but with a desire to improve. You know what I mean? It's like in our DNA. It's like at the DNA level, this innate desire to just improve your situation each day, and like look after the family, look after yourself, and get better instead of falling back. So it's an instinct.
Yes, yes, I know. I'm trying to. It's like even me right now. I have my morning formula, right? I have it there. I need to do it more often every day, but that really helps sets the tone for the day. If I don't do the morning formula, then I end up kind of doing, all kinds of tasks that don't really get me the result I'm looking for by the end of the day. So right now, I'm just focused on building out my agency, trying to automate that as much as I can, step away from it and start doing other things, start diversifying my income. But I was still looking at your stuff and you keep talking about that, focus on one thing, on one thing, get really good at one thing, and you can get to 8 figures just doing one thing. And I still find myself getting distracted by all these other stuff that I could start doing. But I'm saying, what if I just focused on my agency and just got really, really good at this niche, and instead of wondering about what if I can start doing this. And I think that's probably the best way to go, but it's hard to see that sometimes, it's hard to see that my agency can become a 8-figure business, right? I think that requires, more partnerships, more masterminding, more relationships to help me get through that.
Yeah, well, it's like driving on the highway in the country in the night. The headlights only go out so far, but that's all you need to be able to navigate where you want to go. They don't illuminate the entire journey, but that's all you need to see is just that mile in front of you. And as you keep going, like you'll start, more of it will reveal itself. But when you just change paths, like you it you don't keep driving on that one mission, like you just get visibility into something else. And so it never actually, the problem never solves itself by just jumping to a different thing. And the best way really is just to keep driving on that one thing, because then your foresight and your vision gets further and further and further the more you understand the path and the more you understand the market and the niche and all of it.
I guess my question for you, I guess, Sam, is like you help all kinds of entrepreneurs, but I know I think you were helping plumbers plumbers in the beginning, right? And you became like number one. Like when did you know that it was time for you to start, I guess somewhat change your niche? I mean, because at some point you did it, right? But not, I think you made a lot more money before you decided to do that.
That's a good question. And yeah, I mean, I started specific. Everyone has to, because that's the only way you can really differentiate yourself in the world. You've got to choose a little piece that you can bite off and kind of master, and because you can't compete broadly with everyone. And yeah, I chose plumbers and I was helping them with digital marketing. And it was pretty easy to get to number one, because I'm pretty sure I was the only one in New Zealand helping plumbers with digital marketing. And then I was able to get them because they're like, oh yeah, this Sam guy, he helps plumbers. And these other people like Yellow Pages, they help everyone. But it was true, I was able to learn more about them, and I was able to actually help them more than the other people could, because they were just too busy and confused. They didn't have the time to learn the trade. They just knew generic stuff. And then once I had them, I looked further back and I thought, well, it's plumbers are services. They're people who provide a service, a trade service. I started to zoom out a bit. I was like, so I wonder if my method would work for other trade services of similar price points to plumbing. So we have electrical, locksmiths, things like this. So then I start, chipping out and helping those people. And they're like, well, why you? And I'm like, well, I help trade businesses get more clients with digital marketing, and I've got this model which is ideal for this. So now I'm still niche specific to them, but I've made my niche, instead of being plumbing, it's now trade services. Then it became services. And then from there, it became teaching other people how to start consulting businesses and help service-based businesses get clients, because I knew how to do that. And then from there, it became helping people start a consulting business in digital marketing. And then from there, it was helping people start a consulting business and in any niche. And now it's evolved to the point where I pretty much like bent the definition of consulting to something new. You know what I mean? And so back then you can't see that. Like back when I started in my parents' garage, I couldn't see consulting being an e-learning platform, providing training programs to people all around the world, applying it to the framework and creating any possible type of consulting business in the world, from like porn addiction to video game addiction to anything, But that's what I said, when you keep driving along that road, the headlights keep like revealing new, more stuff to you. And that's when the one thing can be so many things. If you look at Amazon, it was like an online bookstore, right? People might have thought, oh, it's just going to be online books. Dude, that thing has evolved to a monster. It does everything all over the world. They literally call it the everything store. And, you could say, oh, but Bezos just stuck to one thing. It's within one thing, there can be so many things. So you talked about diversification. It's like, people think to diversify, you've got to have multiple businesses. But diversification can be multiple traffic sources within one business. That's another form of diversification. It doesn't have to be at the business level. It can be at the product level. It can be in the traffic source level. At any level, provided there's some healthy mix of diversification, you're diversified. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, so I don't have to diversify the actual business. I can actually diversify a specific part of my service, which could be that's simply the traffic where I'm getting it from, right? Because right now right now most of my business is coming from referrals. Like I still live a lot of referrals, so right, I haven't even started doing paid ads. I'm just wondering that's going to be the diversification once I start doing paid ads. And then I have the other piece I'm working on, which is automated emails that go out because I have a big list of chiropractor emails, and then that could be the basically my other diversification, right? Like, so I'm working on that, and then I have other pieces where I would like to just break it out, where I have somebody just doing direct mail, somebody doing the organic prospecting on Facebook, somebody that's doing that organic email, or the automated email, and then my paid Facebook ads, and all of this funneling into this one business. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and I mean, the whole idea of having multiple different things being safer than one, it's not. It's more of like a concept than a reality. If you look at it's easier to guard one basket and be a master of one basket to make sure none of those eggs fall out than it is to, guard multiple of them. You know what I mean? So I call it diversification. It just makes makes things slightly better if they fail, but like that's playing to lose.
That's playing to lose. Oh yes, that is so right. My
I
gosh.
play to win, so that's not even in my comprehension. So that's what I learned from all the other people too, like even Buffett and Bezos and Rockefeller and all of them. I mean, they had one single point of focus, but within that, they had diversification with just, different refineries. Or with Bezos, he's got different categories of products. Like, one type of shoes could be hot now, providing them with a lot of income, but then it might get taken out by a competitor, and then the other type of shoes becomes hot. Doesn't matter. Bezos still getting paid. And so, Facebook could go out, like they could shut down Facebook. I might get hurt by about 10 to 15%, but then I'll just replace it within a month with YouTube and other things. So like, if the market moves around, I'm fine. It might hurt me for a little bit, but it's not going to cripple me. And so that's what I mean by diversification with you. Like, you've got referrals, that's great, but you want to try and add on another stream because, it probably might not happen, but you never want to fully bank your entire life on the fact that you think it might not happen,
Yeah. I'm actually by the end of this month, I actually have the goal of finishing out processing everything that I do, so that my VA can start. My account manager is going to start handling all these accounts, and I'll probably have 2 account managers. And then I could step away and start focusing on bringing in more clients, focusing on the paid ads, because I want to do it right, something simple, but on point. Like your freaking funnel is so easy, and I've seen other people in our group leveraging it. Rob Bailey being one of them, and I'm like, wow, this is exactly how Sam does it, specific to his consulting, and you're doing it to get gym clients. And I'm just like, it's freaking awesome. And if he can do it, then I should be doing that now too,
Yeah, you just got to treat it one thing at a time. Like you've got to build one pipeline first, make sure it doesn't have any leaks, make sure it can sustain itself, and then lay down another one. But what I see people do is they try to build like 10 damn pipelines, and they never get any one of them built. And so they got nothing. There's no supply flowing in. It's just a mess of pipes. And so never try and build a second one till you've mastered it first. Like, lock in the referral thing, even hire some people to help you with, like, run that one without you being in it. And then you can put your focus from that over to ads, get ads running, then put some people in there to manage that. Then you can put your focus over to something else. But you have to put people in place to run the machines and the systems before you can put your focus somewhere else to build it out,
100% agree, Sam. I'm in that process right now. Tomorrow I'm going to another mastermind, and I'm going to knock out some stuff. I'm going to get away from the house so I can focus on my business for a little bit, because I finally have an office in the house, but even in the house, it's hard to focus with the family. So that's another challenge that I'm working on right now too. So having an office possibly outside of my house where I can actually focus and get stuff done during the day and I can sleep at night.
Mm. So let's talk about, how you picked your niche. So you decided in the end, after this furnace was roasting you, to get started, and you somehow picked chiropractors and decided to help them with digital marketing. Why them? How did that happen?
So, during the time around 2014, like I mentioned, I started buying courses, but then I would get distracted. And during those distractions, I would go periods where I would watch these YouTube health videos, and I would just consume a bunch of health talk videos from chiropractors, right? Some were chiropractors, some were just health experts. And I literally consumed like thousands of hours of just health knowledge. And I was like, maybe I could be a health coach, or maybe I could help health coaches. But then I was like, but health coaches, who can be a health coach? Anybody can. They just need to get a certificate. But how do I know they have money? Well, I don't really know unless I ask them, because most health coaches probably just have a business from home. And so I was like, I was thinking between them, and I was like, well, maybe a chiropractor, because I was listening to chiropractors giving this knowledge. Like, maybe chiropractors would be a niche. And I said, they actually have an office. They've already invested into buying an office or renting an office, right? And then I found out that they actually have, when they convert patients, they charge a lot. I mean, some of them between, $1,000 to $4,000 or $5,000 for a new patient. I was like, I can easily justify at least $1,500 a month with the chiropractor, but with the health coach, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they even have money. I mean, just logically looking at it, some of them, it might be harder to sell them. So I said, you know what? I'll pick the chiropractors. And then, but even after that, I didn't know how to market, like how to market for a chiropractor. I mean, I had a funnel, but what I ended up doing was I wanted to save more time. I didn't want to keep figuring stuff out. So I was looking at other Facebook groups, what other people are doing, and I found, there were people already marketing to chiropractors having success. So I reach out to them via Messenger, and I would basically say, hey, how much for 1 hour of your time? I would basically do that with everybody that had any kind of result with chiros. I'd say, how much for 1 hour of your time? How much for? And I'd pay them, and they'd get on a call, and then I get his method, I get his method, I get his method, and then I started getting results. That's how I started. That's how I started the whole process. So one, people already get successful in the niche, and the chiropractors have an office, and they charge a pretty good, decent amount per new patient. So it seemed like a no-brainer versus doing the fitness coach. So that's kind of how I evolved into figure out my niche.
Yes, that's a good point, because it generally starts like, the niche always starts with something you're kind of interested in, like a hunch. Like you said, you were just watching a whole bunch of health videos. Don't really know why, but you were. You must have been interested in it for some reason or another. Like that's literally where niches start, what you're interested in. And that's actually why I tell people in the training, if you don't know what you're interested in and you don't think you're interested in anything, go to YouTube and look at your history. It's literally what I say, because you'll be like, whoa, actually I am pretty interested in this. And like, that's like a really good place to find, because that's what you're doing when you're not even thinking what you're doing. That's kind of like just unconsciously what you're drawn to. And so that's where it starts. And then you applied a bit of rationale and logic to it, like, but health coaches might not have money, but the ones that have an office, so of course, office money, therefore must, like chiropractors, more formal health coach with an office that you can find on the internet. Then you found that, then how can we help them? Well, you just found people already helping them and learned that. So that's very, very smart. Like, you shortcut a whole bunch of stuff there, because you're limited by time. you had to race to those things. You know what I mean? So that's a really good process for what other people can do that are learning from this. You know, to find your niche, find what you're interested in, then look at that market and to see, I say the best way is to talk to them and find out what their problems are. But another way is also to find people who are successfully selling things to them and learn what they're doing and learn how they're doing it and model the best. And that's what you did. So then how did you get your first client?
So, like in the beginning, I did a lot of organic outreach, and my first client, my first real good client, came from LinkedIn. But I reached out to them the same way I did on Facebook. But for whatever reason, LinkedIn, you know, it just happened to be this person. But I got them on a phone call, and how did I know they were the right client? Well, I asked them, so, you know, how much did you invest into your business last year? And she gave me an exact number, right? How much she actually spent and what her ROI was. Almost nobody that I talked to over the 40 sales calls before her knew their numbers. Almost no one did, right? So I was like, we invested 16,000 and we made 100 something thousand, right? And this is without my services. This was doing what she was doing. And I was like, she knows her numbers. I hope I can close it. In my mind, I was kind of like, oh my God, you know, all these thoughts racing. I couldn't close her on my fee. I always shoot for you know, my service fee, right? I ended up doing a free trial because I didn't have any strong case studies that I could really share with her. So I did a free trial, and we spent about $400 in ad spend, and she made 16,000 from just 400. She was super excited, so much that she, you know, referred me to a coach. But that's how I found my first client. My first good client. You're going to find a lot of people that want to work with you, but they're not all going to be a good fit.
So you tried to sell her into your program as a paid client, but she kind of she declined that. How much were you trying to sell it for?
It was only $1,500 a month, but she told me that she was there was other marketers that approached her before I did that they tried to hard sell her, like they were way too salesy, I guess, on the phone, and she was turned off by it. But here's how let me get specific on how I reached out to her, because I think it's important for others to know. When I reached out to her, I said, hey, so and so, I noticed you're a chiropractor in Fargo, North Dakota. Are you trying to grow your practice? Do you have room for additional patients? If so, I have an info pack that I can send you completely free. Let me know if you're interested. Boom, that was it. And I would step away. And I would send this kind of script to everybody, like an info pack. One info pack. And so people like info, right? So let's go. People like to consume info but not do anything, right? But so I leveraged that. As much as like, yeah, I'll take it.
You know about that.
And so I know all about that. And so she said, yes, I'm super interested. And I said, great. So I'm putting the finishing touches on it. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just threw that out there. I had no idea what my info pack was going to be. I just wanted to see who would respond. And so she responded, and I said, okay, what I'm going to do. Okay. Oh, this is what I do. I'll send her an email, and I included a link to my ad, to one of my ads that I did for one of my other trials that didn't work out. So my very first trial I spent $150. She got 12 leads. 3 of them came in. 1 became a patient. It was $2,500. So $150 turned into $2,500. She didn't become a client, but I leveraged those results in that ad. And I said, this ad got a 15-to-1 ROI, and which was true, but she didn't have to know all the other details. And so I included the link to that same ad. And then told her, you know what, copy the funnel from start to finish, opt in, see how it looks like, apply it to your business. If you have any questions or need help, just reach out to me, right? And it was very like non-salesy, just let me know if you need help with it. And then she responded almost immediately and said, we love how it looks. Well, love to get on the call and see if we can do this. And then that was how my first awesome client was born.
Nice. Awesome. So that's good advice too for other people. It's like when you're just getting started, sometimes you don't have it in you to charge the money, and quite often what happens is you end up moving back to the point where you're actually comfortable, and confident, which a lot of the time is zero. So you just want to do the work for free to see it work. And then when you watch it in front of your own eyes work, you're like, all right, now it's worth money. And then that's kind of the thing that happens. That's what happened to me too, and tons of people I've interviewed. So that's really good advice. Now, I've got to jump off here soon, so we're kind of getting short on time because I've got to jump onto my mastermind call. But what would you say has been, the most, you've gone from being 60K in debt to like up at 60 grand a month. That's a huge transformation. And what would you say has been the most transformational part about the Consulting Accelerator program?
I think what really helped me about the program was the mindset modules. That really helped me in the beginning. But when I actually started getting referrals and clients, leveraging that script, the script was all I had, man. I mean, I really leveraged that script as much as I could. And I tailored it as much as I can to the chiropractic niche. And so I closed like at least 40 people with that script, which led me to, to where I'm at where I'm at now today, which is close to 60K a month. But the script is worth, that by itself could be a whole course. I mean, seriously, the script helped me out. And I mean, I told you I watched everything in the course, but what I actually implemented consistently as I was, applying what I learned was the script. I think the script was a lifesaver for me.
Cool. And you've been in the program since 2016, so a while, probably been in the Facebook group for that time too, and witnessed, a lot of the things that other members go through, struggle with, get stuck on. Like, what would your number one piece of advice be for them?
I would say pick a niche already and just start doing the outreach. I see a lot of questions in the group sometimes, like, what do you think about my logo? Or can you check my website? And I realized I was a victim of that. Like, I was focused on the wrong things for way too long. What niche should I pick? And then I built my website. I even built my website before I did anything, right? But if I would tell anybody in the community, I would say, pick a niche. Doesn't matter what niche it is, to be honest. Because even if you're wrong, you're gonna learn a lot, and the next niche is gonna be a lot easier. It's gonna be a lot easier to get the results because whatever you learn, it's gonna be so much faster for that next niche. Pick a niche and prospect until it works. I say prospect until it works. Don't prospect and stop after a few hundred and say this might be the niche for me. I prospected and I connected. I started my Facebook. When I got on Facebook, I only had 400 friends. They were all family and friends, just family and friends. I now have 5,000 friends, and they're all chiropractors. 4,500 chiropractors. So every time I put a post, some chiropractor sees it, and I get 2 to 3 people outreaching to me wanting to know about what I do. Just I put results. So I can pick a niche, connect with as many of them on Facebook and or LinkedIn, and outreach more than everybody else, and to get your first break. That would be my biggest piece of advice to anybody in the community.
Awesome. Well, that's good advice. So thanks a lot, David, for jumping on and sharing your story. If there's any chiropractors, watching this, because we're going to put it on YouTube, we're going to put it online, not just for customers, but the public too. Like, how do they find you? What's your website?
My website is davidrogerthompson.com. You can go there and you can check out. There's only one call to action on there, and if you want to work or just find out more, just go to that site, and it's pretty straightforward. Awesome.
And I'll make sure I put a link beneath the video for that too. Cool. Well, thanks a lot for jumping on and sharing your story.
Thank you.
I love the start. That was one of the best stories I've heard about, the pain building up to a point high enough before you're just like, oh, I got to act. So I'm sure it's going to inspire and motivate a lot of other people, and thanks for jumping on and sharing it with us.
Hey, Sam, I look forward to hopefully joining your mastermind at the end of the year if you guys will let me. So I'm working on it, though.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. All right. See you, man.
Take care, Sam. Bye bye.